Well, hello everyone. Welcome to another Thursday night live stream. Thank you all for being here tonight on this Thursday evening. I hope everyone is doing well. We'll see a few of the regulars here in the house. Let me know if you can hear me, see me okay. We have the nice mood lighting going on for an evening stream. And as usual, I have my glass of Malbec and my glass of water. So let me know which one you see me grabbing for more as the evening goes on. Anyway, I'd like to thank you all for being here. And hopefully we'll have a nice time tonight. I'm not really quite sure. Jay asked me earlier, what is your topic for this evening? And I really don't have a topic. I just wanted to kind of get together with everybody in the community who is available to just kind of chill out, hang out. I mean, I do have a couple of things that I could talk about, and I probably will talk about, that I want to share with you that happened this week. I'll bring you up to date on a couple of things, but I just kind of thought it would be a nice evening to chill and just nice segue into the Easter and Passover weekend. So to all of you that observe, happy Easter and Passover. And yeah, so let's see who else do we have here in the house. Let's see, let's go back now and say hello to a few of you that have helped me out with the testing of the map. So we have David Grishko here. Hey, David, thank you for joining from Washington State. We have Learn Blue Iris from Farmington, Connecticut. Hey, Joe, thanks for being here. Unky Joe, welcome. Long time no see. Glad to see you back on the YouTube scene from Texas. We have TVJ from Ohio here with us this evening. Hello, Jay. Sorry I missed your stream on Monday, but it was just a long day at work and just wanted to come home, shower, crash, and hit the hay. So anyway, let's see who else we got going on here. And TVJ says, does the map support Canada for Bob? Yes, TVJ, the map is actually the map of the entire world. And I guess we'll talk a little bit about that as we go. Capture the Concept is here. Hey, Ashley, thank you for being here. I had enjoyed having you on last month's stream. It was a real fun night for me. Hope it was for you. TVJ says, we can hear you. That's good. Thank you. Hopefully you can see me too. Unky Joe says he's got coffee and pineapple express. Ooh, nice. And Joe says, I observe by working. Yes, I know you've been a pretty busy guy, my friend, but I'm very happy for you. Very happy that it's taking off for you. And then we have Jeremy in the house here. Hey, Jeremy, also, before I forget, I need to ping you offline because this month, you and I are supposed to do a stream together. It'll be another one of my interview format streams, and Jeremy's going to be my guest of honor on the next stream. It'll probably be somewhere towards the end of April because we are heading out again on vacation next week. So it'll be definitely when I get back. So Jeremy, I'll ping you offline. We'll pick a date and go over all of the details. So, and TVJ says, to Unky, thank you, not thank you, but glad to see you back. So I think I'm caught up with everybody in the chat. Let's go back and take a look at the map real quick. And let me bring that on screen. And you can see, yes, Jay, to answer your question, it's a map of the world. It's managed by a Google API. So actually, there's two APIs that run the map. There's an API that calls the map graphic, and then there's also an API that calls the places. So if you say, for example, like some of you have, hi from Washington State or hi from Houston, Texas, when I bring the comment on the screen, then the places API will pin the location, or maybe not the exact location, but something in the general vicinity. And yes, I can make the map larger. Let's see if I can just get over there. it's kind of hard because it's being pumped into the ATEM and it's on a small 7-inch monitor. But yes, typically I would be able to grab and resize the map to just bring it up, zoom it in more on the area. But for now, we'll leave it at the default. So Unky Joe's testing me here. I see a chat coming up that says hi from Yemen. Let's see if that pulls it in. I believe it will. Let's see. Let's go back to my social page and Learn Blue Iris. Let's see where we are here. Okay. And let's see. Did it not pull you in, Unky Joe, from Yemen? So typically it would, but that's interesting. So let me see something. I'm going to actually add my own comment here. Let's test something out. So I'm going to say hi from Finland. Let me wait for it to hit the. There we go. I don't know if you saw it pop up on the map. Well, it will any second now. There we go. So, and then Joe's testing it out for me. So there you go. Anyway, not sure why it didn't pick you up, Unky Joe, but there you go. Maybe spelled Yemen wrong. I'm not sure. Can't be exact. But in any event, thank you guys for testing this out with me. I did spend quite a bit of time with John Barker from H2R Record getting this working. It's part of H2R Graphics, and he listed a whole set of instructions on how to call the APIs. And for whatever reason, well, I know what the reason is. When I first tried it, it wasn't working. And I reached out to him on Discord, and he was a gentleman plus. I have nothing, I can't say enough good things about John and the way he treated me and the way he handled the situation. And we went back and forth for about 3 weeks, not every day, but over a 3-week period. We did some troubleshooting together. And I have to tell you, the guy is one stand-up guy, and he stands behind this product to the point where at one point after we tried so many different things to get it working, to the point where I had literally said to him, hey, I appreciate all your time, and I'll just table it for now. Not a big deal. Come back to it. We'll circle back to it again sometime in the future. And his response to me at that point was, absolutely not. We are going to get this working. So his perseverance really paid off. Again, we did some more testing and finally got it to work. And the problem was that I wasn't calling the second API. Originally, I was getting the map to show up, but I wasn't getting the pins to the API to call the places. So, and unbeknownst to me, I followed the directions in H2R Graphics. And when we went over it with a fine-tooth comb, he realized that he left that step out to enable the second API. So he made an amendment to his instructions in H2R Graphics, and now all is well. So anyway, I want to send a shout out to John. In fact, let me drop a link to his channel. If you guys haven't seen Here to Record, it's pretty much a live streaming channel as far as a lot to do with live streaming gear, but definitely worth checking out. There we go. I put the link in the chat, and let me just bring his page up on the screen real quick. I just want to show you his website if you haven't seen it. So give me 1 second to get it up there. Okay. All right. So here's the Here to Record YouTube channel. And like it says here, everything you need to know about live video production. He writes a lot of various software utilities. He's definitely got some cool stuff. H2R Graphics is one of them. And that's what I'm using tonight to do the map. That's also what I'm using tonight to bring the graphics on the screen. In addition, he's got a flowchart tool, H2, it's called H2R Tools, I believe, and you can actually build out your workflow. Really cool. And then one other thing I did want to show is for those of you that are using ATEMs, he has this page right here. It's a streaming XML generator. So if you're not aware of what the XML file is in the ATEM, you can add, so the ATEM comes out of the box with the default streaming locations such as Facebook and YouTube and Twitch and things like that. But if you wanted to add a custom RTMP location to the ATEM, you can do it with this page. So instead of exporting the XML file from the ATEM and going through tons of code to find what you want to copy and then paste and then edit, John makes it really simple with this page. You just put in the platform name, the streaming URL, and all these other options here, and then go ahead and click download the XML file, and it creates the actual XML file for you, and then you just load it up into the ATEM. Makes it super simple. So I just wanted to mention that. Again, huge shout out to John Barker for helping me get the maps feature up and running. This is the first time I'm trying it this evening. I'm happy to see it working. So that said, let me go back to the comments and see if any other comments have come in. Okay, let's see, where are we? Where did we leave off? Unky Joe says, not a world map. Actually, it is. I'm not sure why that didn't come in, but anyway, here's the link to here to record. Yep, John has been doing some content on the new switchers. Makes you want one. Yes. There's some really cool features in the new switchers, especially the built-in streaming bridges for remote streaming. Very, very cool. Michael Berg, good evening. I thought I saw Keith Bennett in the chat, but maybe I'm mistaken. Anybody else see Keith Bennett in the chat, or am I just seeing things? I guess not. Okay. So it generates a clean XML file. Yes, sir. And you just simply bring it up into the ATEM and load it. There's an option in the ATEM for loading. Let me see the XML file. Let me see if I can bring that up and show you. Yeah. So let me bring this up here. And switch. Let me get the comments off the screen. And if you come up to across the top here, the stream menu in the drop down, you probably can't see that, but right here it says load stream settings. And this is how you would load the XML file that right into the ATEM that was created by John's XML generator. So let me get that back off the screen. There we go. So anyway, we got 7 viewers here, 5 likes. So do me a favor, smash the like button. It just kind of helps. So anyway, let's see what else we got. Yeah, check out his channel, Jay. You'll enjoy it. So, oh, you're talking about Keith. I'm sorry. I thought you were referring to John Barker. I don't know. I must have been seeing things. So, all right. Let's see. So, how are you guys all doing? What's your plans for the weekend? Any special plans for any of the holidays? Let me know in the comments. We are doing something different for a change. Instead of hosting the family and cooking for Easter. We're traveling on the Tuesday after Easter. My sister's traveling shortly after Easter as well, and the two of us are usually the two that host. Um, with all the travel plans and all, we decided with my other sister being back up in New Jersey and just being a small group of us, we decided that we're just going to find a place to go out and have Easter brunch. So that's on our agenda. That's what we're doing. So let me know what you guys are doing for the holidays. Okay, now back to a couple of things. Let's see. So, all right, I know what I could talk about. I had a weird occurrence this week. So I did a whole house Wi-Fi upgrade. It was a retrofit. The house was already done. So it's one of those deals where we're spending a lot of time crawling around in the attic, fishing wires and stuff like that. So it was a 5-access point install and a switch. The guy wanted to maintain and continue to use his ISP router. Typically in a home installation like that, I would replace the ISP router with most likely an edge router. But in this case, the client wanted to keep his ISP router for whatever reason, so that's fine. So I put in Unify switch and the access points, and we put in a U6 Pro as the main access point, 3 U6 lights, and then an outdoor UAP-AC mesh because he wanted music outside in his backyard oasis overlooking the lake. And eventually we're going back and we're going to be installing a Sonos amp in the house and then running two pairs of speakers outside to his backyard oasis. So hence the need for the outdoor access point so he can control the Sonos amp and Sonos music from his Sonos app from his phone. So that said, what I normally do in a situation like that is when the stuff arrives, I unbox it, obviously. Over on the back workstation back there in the studio, I usually lay everything out and pre-configure it before I get to the client's house, bring up the unified controller, create the site, create the network, do all the configuration stuff, and then adopt all the devices to the client's site on the controller. And everything went well, went as expected, as it always does here. Pack everything back up, everything's configured, ready to go. Get to the site on Monday, and we are running all the cables. We get all the cables installed, all the cables tested, and now we start mounting the equipment. Equipment's mounted, fire it all up, and everything comes up online except the U6 Pro, which was really odd. So I wasn't sure what was going on. So what did I do? I unplugged the patch cord from the switch and counted to 5, plugged it back in, figured let it reboot, let's see if it comes online, and nothing. That said, the weird thing about it was firing up. There was PoE light on the switch, the LED, the blue LED status light on the U6 Pro. It was there. It was blue, as if it was, adopted and configured. Yet there was no link. We couldn't establish a link. So I tried rebooting it a couple of times from the switch. No deal. So it was the end of the day, and it was a long day. We were hot. We were sweaty. Told the homeowner that we'd be back in the morning to troubleshoot and get it up and running. So I thought, all right, what am I going to do here? How am I going to approach this? So the first thing I did was take all the physical connections out of the equation. So tested the patch cable, changed the port on the switch. By the way, which I knew the ports on the switch were fine because it configured fine here and everything was working. So I knew there really wasn't a problem with the switch itself. Changed the patch cable, still nothing. At that point, I tested the line that we ran from the switch through the attic over to the access point. Even though I knew it was good, we tested it earlier, right? But who knows? Maybe when we pushed the access point back up into place, maybe it got pinched. Who knows? So I figured, all right, pop it off the ceiling, test the line, rule that out, tested the line tested good. This sucker wouldn't. Come on. So my final resort after taking those steps was to just factory reset the thing back to default and adopt it again at the client's location. Had my handy dandy paper clip in hand, up on the ladder, access point in hand. And something just said to me, you know what, before you factory reset it, for laughs and giggles, go ahead and plug it in one more time, see what happens. And wouldn't you know, lo and behold, I plugged it in and booted up. And all of a sudden I'm looking at the controller on my phone and I see it says getting ready. So it's provisioning. And sure enough, it comes online. So go figure. I really couldn't tell you what the problem was. I mentioned it to Willie this morning and he was like, yeah, well, welcome to the new ubiquity, LOL. But I'm puzzled by that because the long and the short here is rebooting it, killing the power to the PoE on the switch side did nothing, but killing the power and unplugging it at the access point actually made a difference, which doesn't make any sense. The only thing I can think of is that when I plugged it back in at the access point, it was seated better. Maybe the first time it got plugged in, all 8 pins didn't make good connection. I don't know. But it was just weird that it was powering up and getting the blue LED light, but not establishing a link. So anyway, has that happened to any of you in your travels, in your ventures? Let me know. All right, so that was my weird story of the week. I do have another one, but it's not weird. That one was a weird occurrence. The other one was just something I ran into. But anyway, let's go back to see what's going on in the comments. Let me grab a drink. By the way, thank you again for joining me this evening. Lower view count here tonight than normal, but anyway, I felt like I wanted to go live, so I guess people are busy prior to the holidays. Let's see. So Jay says, I wish I would have known of that last week. I was editing it by hand last week for the chapel project. Editing. What do you mean you were editing it by hand, Jay? I'm not sure what you mean. I know you were working on the chapel project, but anyway, if you want to elaborate on that a little. Doing good, Joe. Doing good. Hanging in there. Studio Tav is doing well. Thank you so much for asking. She is killing it. And I don't know, Ashley, if you noticed, but I've actually put out a couple of reels since we did our live stream. It was kind of fun. Alonzo, thank you for joining. Welcome. Appreciate you being here. I am running sound at my church for 4 services and then having a gathering at our house to celebrate Easter. Wow. 4 services. Long, busy day. My mother-in-law's birthday and my birthday. Woo! Happy birthday to you and your mother-in-law. I know you're nowhere near joining my club. Seeing that audio setup you have, Jay, that might actually get me to church. There you go. I had to edit the streaming. Oh, there you go. Okay. I wasn't, when you said I was editing it, Jay, I wasn't 100% sure what you were referring to. I had to think back to what I said earlier in the stream. Yeah. Let me drop that link in there as well. Let me drop a link to that in the chat as well. Hold on 1 second. It's a great tool. Okay, coming into the chat as we speak. There you go. Thank you, Ashley. I have a good tutor, good mentor, I should say. and I'm turning 40 on Wednesday. Oh boy, Jay, I have quite a few years on you, and I'll drink to that. So, okay. Let's see what else we got going on tonight. Probably not going to make a JAU, I don't think tonight, but that's okay. Let's see. I'm supposed to be getting some new gear from Synology. At least that's what my contact last week. I'm still waiting for it. I asked for an update on shipping, but I haven't heard anything. But I know it's the holidays, so I'm supposed to be getting. Let me see if I can bring it up on the screen. Supposed to be getting the new DS423 Plus, and possibly I asked for one of the new surveillance cams to test out and play with. So let's see. Where is it? DS Plus series. There we go. Let me switch over. Okay. So here's the new DS423 Plus. They also came out with the 923 Plus. I know the 423 comes with the Intel processor. Let's look at the specs. Yeah, it comes with the Intel Celeron J4125, 64-bit architecture, 4-core, 2.7 turbo, hardware encryption engine. I know it's got the built-in graphics card or built-in graphics, and I know if you're a Plex user, then you'll be happy about that. As far as system memory, comes with 2 gig of DDR4 non-ECC, and I believe the 10 gig, listen to me, the 2 gig is soldered on the board, but it is expandable up to 6 gig, which is really not a lot. There's a 4 gig slot, so 2 gig soldered on the board, and then there's a 4 gig upgrade slot. 4 drive bays, 2 M.2 NVMe slots, which the NVMe drives in the 423 Plus can also be used as storage, as a volume, not just caching. So that's pretty cool. And then it obviously supports the 3.5 SATA, 2.5 SATA, and the M.2 NVMe SSDs, hot swappable, etc. 2 1 gig LAN ports with link aggregation failover. It's got 2 USB 3.2 Gen 1 ports. It supports BTRFS, I call ButterFS, ext4. It does not have the ability for it to use an expansion device. So yeah, so I'm supposed to be getting this. I hope I do get it soon. I want to do a review on it and test it out a little bit. And then I'm also supposed to be getting, let's see if I can find their cameras. There we go. I'm also supposed to be getting the surveillance camera. I'm going to say one of them. I'm not sure which one. They have the BC500 and the TC500. I guess the name comes from the form factor, BC500, BC for bullet and TC for turret, I'm assuming. Yeah. I think they retail for somewhere around $229, but I'm not 100% sure. They're technically available now. You can see the specs here. I'm not going to go over and read every one of them to you, but it's got fixed focal length, 2.8 millimeter. Let's see. Let's see if I can go to something. Let's look at the features. Maybe that'll be easier for you guys to see. All right, so it's got camera-based AI, and it's NDAA and TAA compliant, IP67 and IK10 certified. IK10, let's see what that is. Let me bring that up. Okay, let's see. IK10. Let's see what we got. IK rating means the degrees of protection provided by the enclosures for electrical equipment against external mechanical impacts or shocks in joules. The IK rating consists of 2 digits, 00 to 10. IK rating are particularly important for lights and lighting fixtures that may be fitted in an area that could be subject to rough environment, attempted vandalism, or other impacts. Okay, so there you go. It's got the IK10 rating, 30 meter night vision, again, NDAA and TAA compliant, round the clock surveillance. It's got the edge recording, so if it loses connection with the NVR or with the surveillance station, it will default to recording to micro SD cards. So hopefully I'll get one of these and we'll test this out as well. So, yep. Excited. I'm looking forward to those. I hope they do come. So, all right, let me swing back to the comments. We were jumped up to 8 viewers at one point. Now we jumped up to 10. Now we're at 8. So, okay. Let's see where we are here. Joe is saying, happy birthday, Jay. And Jay was saying, I was actually looking at the 2-bay Synology today. Which model? Oh, thank you, Jay, for asking this. Does the Synology cameras come with the license? So, as you guys know, Synology surveillance station comes built in with 2 licenses to use for any model camera, whether it be Rayolink, Amcrest, whatever. If you add a 3rd camera, typically you would have to purchase additional licenses. And as we all know, the licenses for surveillance station are not cheap. They're pretty expensive. Not really quite sure what they're going for now. Let me take a look. Let's go to, and I will get to answering your question, Jay. Let me get the comment off the screen. Let's take a look on Amazon real quick. I think it's something like $50 a license, but don't quote me. Let's see. All right, let's look at the 4-pack. All right, so yeah, here's a single for $56, and the 8-pack is $584. Let's see if we go into it. Can we buy the 4-pack? Yeah, 4-pack is $204.99, and then there you have the 8-pack for $379. So the camera licenses for additional cameras, as you can see, are quite expensive. However, the neat thing with the cameras that Synology just put out, the BC 500 and the I forget the models, but the 2 new cameras don't require a license if you're using them with Synology surveillance station. So that's pretty cool. So you can add them in. So like I'm at 2 cameras right now. I have 2 Amcrest cameras in my backyard. And if I wanted to add any more cameras to surveillance station, I'd have to buy licenses. But if I end up getting or buying, because I don't know that I can keep the gear that's coming, but if I end up liking it and I end up buying a camera from Synology, then I can add it 2, 3, 4 of them to surveillance station at no additional cost, except for the cost of the camera. So great question, Jay. Thank you. The DS220 Plus, but it just seems a little bit underpowered. Yeah, if anything, I would suggest taking a look at, if you're looking at a 2-bay, let me go back, and I would say to you, take a look if they still make it. Let's get over back to Synology. You don't want the value of the J series, but let's take a look at the Plus series. And yeah, I would take a look at the 723 Plus. I know a couple of my clients, a couple of years ago, I put with the 718 Plus, and they're using it for Plex and a bunch of other stuff, and it's super solid device. This has got the AMD Ryzen R1600. I know you're not worried about, probably not worried about using it as a Plex server. It's got the 2-core, 2.6 base, 3.1 turbo, hardware encryption engine, 2 gig of memory, DDR4 ECC, maximum capacity, you see it's 32. So yeah, it's got 2 drive bays, and it does have the ability to add the 5-bay expansion slot, the 2 M.2 drives. I'm not sure in the 723 if, like the 423 Plus, the NVMe can be used as storage or if it's just caching only. If anyone knows, let me know down in the comments. So I'm not sure price point, what the difference is in price, Jay. Let's take a look at Amazon and see. So the DS220 Plus, again, these are Amazon prices. They're probably being gouged a little bit, but you got a diskless version for $299, so $300 for the 220 Plus, and the, let's see, the 723. It's a newer model. It's probably a little bit more expensive. Let's see. QNAP. Yeah, it's about $150 more diskless, but in comparison to the 220, I think that's if you're looking for a 2-bay NAS, I think that would be a better route to go, in my opinion, anyway. So, all right. Yep, no licenses required for their cameras, but their cameras are. Excuse me one second. Sorry about that. But their cameras are a lot more expensive. You're not talking about the $80 or $90 Reolink or $80 or $90 Amcrest camera. You're talking not quite Ubiquiti pricing, but again, 200 plus for a camera. So again, like I said, I'm excited to get my hands on it and test it out. I want to put a camera near by my front door. I bought a Ring doorbell last year, actually almost 2 years ago, when we sold the other house before we built this house, and figuring I bought it on sale, caught a Black Friday sale at the time, and said, oh, we're building a new house. My wife liked the Ring doorbell in the other house, etc. I'll grab one on sale now for the new house. Well, I've never put it up. It's brand new, sitting in the box in the cabinets under the TV, and I'm not going to put it up because of where the builder located the doorbell. It's just the positioning is horrible. So I'm actually hoping to add a front door camera, surveillance camera for the front porch. I do get a lot of deliveries, a lot of Amazon deliveries, so, and some deliveries from Ubiquiti here and there. So I do want to add something to the front porch, and if the surveillance camera from Synology pans out, I may just grab one of those. We'll see. But in any event, yeah. All right. Let's see. We'll come back to the comments in a little bit. What else we got going on? I think I mentioned earlier the second live stream of this month is going to be towards the end of the month. Hopefully on a Thursday night, if Jeremy's available. I asked Jeremy last month while he was doing the month daily content challenge, where he was producing and publishing content on a daily basis for the entire month of March. At one point, I had reached out to him and I said, hey, you know, I'm doing these interviews and I would like to have you on If you're interested, take a few days to recoup in April after your month-long challenge, but maybe you can come on, be a guest, and we can chat about the experience and see what you take away from it and things like that. I'm sure I'm interested in knowing. I'm sure the folks would like to know too. And of course, Jeremy said yes. Like I said, this was while he was doing the challenge. I told him I would reach out to him in early April. So Jeremy, if you're still out there, like I said earlier, I will ping you offline probably tomorrow, and hopefully we could set up a date and time that works for both of us. I'm looking forward to having you on and having our chat. All right. Let's see what else. Comments look pretty quiet. Only a few came in, so we'll see. We'll give them a chance. So anyway, I know for the longest time, I've been toying with the idea of upgrading my unified production controller. It's 5 years old. It's been running on the same droplet for the last 5 years. It's got roughly about 35 client sites. It's a multi-site controller. And like I said, it's been running for 5 years. I've kept it up to date with the unified controller versions. I think when I first started it back in 5 years ago, I think it had version 4 something, or maybe early version 5. So it's come a long way. It was up to the most recent version over the years. I had it up to just last week was version 7.2.94, I believe. And each time I would upgrade it, I always crossed my fingers because, again, it was my production controller. Yes, I did have backups, but being a novice, and I've mentioned this to you guys all the time, being a novice command line user, I am getting better over the years, but being a novice command line user, the thought of doing the upgrade was frightening, because again, if I screwed something up, it was my production controller. In fact, one time in the 5 years, I will say I lucked out most of the time, but there was one or two times in the 5 years where the upgrade did not go well. And I reached out to Willie, and oh, thank God for Willie. Willie got me back up online. And of course, each time I stumbled and ran into problems, I learned. So that was a good thing. But I will say, in the course of 5 years, going from a late version 4 to an early version 5, all the way up to 7.2.94, and only having one or two blips, really not a bad track record. However, back 5 years ago, when I created the droplet, the Ubuntu image was of Ubuntu version 16.04. And even though the controller version was being upgraded over the years, Ubuntu remained at 16.04. So as I keep adding more and more customers to the controller, I keep getting more and more like, I got to do something, right? This one day it's going to just backfire and blow up on me. So this past week, I started the planning process in my head of how am I going to go about doing this? So one of the things I did was I set up in Synology Virtual Machine Manager a virtual machine with Ubuntu 16.04 on it. I installed the unified controller, and then what I tried to do once I had the controller running in the virtual machine on Synology, I tried to go through the process of upgrading Ubuntu 16.04 to Ubuntu, I think 22.04. And of course I Googled it and followed the instructions via the command line, and everything went well in the actual process. Like everything was completing, no errors, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Finally gets done, and I go to load the controller, the UI, and not happening. it wouldn't load. And I said, okay, I'm stopping there. I'm not going that route of trying to upgrade the existing controller, the production controller from 1604 to a newer version of Ubuntu, just not doing it. So then I said, okay, the other option is migration. And so now I started planning that out. In fact, when I think I mentioned it to the guys, when I say the guys, Joe and Jay, we have a group on Signal. I started to outline it in my head. And Jay said to me at the time, "You're going to do a video on it?" And I was like, "Yeah, I wasn't planning on it." And then I thought, well, maybe I would do it in the live stream. But then I ended up, because I came up short this week with a video, I ended up doing a video on it today. So in my thought process, I put together these steps. Let me share them with you, of how I would approach upgrading my 5-year-old production controller. So first step for me is always preparation. I want to make sure that all the devices are up to date on all of the 35 sites running the latest firmware. Upgrade the controller to the latest version. Now, there's a caveat with that one, and I'm going to get into that in a second. So hang tight, stick with me here. Figuring that these best practices would lower the risk of something going wrong in the actual restore process. So, of course, upgrade the device firmware, upgrade the controller to the latest version, and do a backup. Now, I also did a backup before I began upgrading the device firmware. So I took a backup before I started, and then I took a backup once everything was updated and ready to go. At that point, I said to myself, okay, I need to create a new droplet. I need to make, because I'm using a fully qualified domain name, so I need to repoint my DNS settings to the new droplet. And then I'll install, once the new droplet is up and running and it issues the IP address, I'll change and point the DNS settings, and then I'll install Unify on the new droplet. And the reason in my head, it logically made sense to do it this way, because while I was installing Unify, it would give DNS a chance to propagate, so that once the Unify installation part was done, I should be able to just call up the FQDN in a web browser, and it should take me to the install the Unify wizard page. So, and then once I get to that point, restore the backup file and install the SSL certificate. I always keep a copy of my key store. In fact, this week I had to upgrade, not upgrade, but renew the SSL certificate. So I just had a fresh key store that I had put on the controller. So I had a copy of that on my local drive. So you just have to copy the key store over to the unified data folder. So those were the steps that I put together in my head, and I tested it out in theory with 2 lab virtual machines, 2 controllers, and it worked. So I said, okay, this is what I'm going to do. So now back to production. I get all the devices upgraded, running the latest firmware. Remember, I was running version 7.2.94 on a production controller, and the latest version that's out there right now running for Debian Ubuntu is 7.3.83. So I was only one version behind, and 1 or 2, I think just 1. And so after I got all the devices upgraded with the firmware, I went to do the process that I always do of upgrading the controller manually through the command line. And it got to a point, at one point in the process, when it was unpacking and installing the Unify package, it came back with errors, and it said JDK could not be installed, or the Unify controller could not be installed because it required dependency JDK. So then I was like, okay, I thought that was odd, because jumping from 7.2.94 to 7.3.83. You would think that JDK was already running with version 7.2.94, but whatever. Again, this is where my lack of command line experience comes into play. So what do I try to do? I try to install command for installing JDK, headless and all that. And it comes back with an error saying it cannot be found, this, that, and the other thing. So I was like, all right. So meanwhile, I try to load the controller and the web UI is not loading. So now my worst nightmare has come true, right? My production controller is not accessible. So, not being able to get the existing controller up to 7.3.83, I was one version behind, but I had no choice at this point to do the restore. So I created the new DigitalOcean droplet, followed all those steps that I just shared with you, and used the restore file from the 7.2.94. And lo and behold, it came back online. All the sites, all the devices on all 35 sites provisioned, and I was a happy camper. So again, when it rains, it pours for Tony. If it was raining baseball bats, let's say if it was pouring baseball bats, I'd get hit with a hockey stick. You know what I'm saying? So I usually tell that joke, not the PG version, but you know what I'm talking about. So anyway, needless to say, that was my experience with my Unify controller migration experience. Now, if you want to actually see the process, I did a detailed video. It is coming out on Saturday, and pretty cool. That said, let me just go back to the comments real quick, and then I do want to segue off of that little story and into something related to that. So let me go back to the comments and see where we are. Okay, I'm going to put my glasses on. So let's see. So Jay was saying, back to the Synology conversations, I was looking because I need to back up to my TrueNAS box. I hate not having a backup. Understandable. Haley really wants cameras on the house. Yeah, and I do too. My wife Lisa's the opposite of Haley. Lisa despises me having cameras on the house. She doesn't like, I think I mentioned this in a recent live stream. She does not like to be every little move, like knowing that a camera's watching or recording. So anyway, so Jeremy says, I am looking forward to being on. Yes, Jeremy, I'm looking forward to have you on. In fact, I'm going to talk about GPT in a little bit and trying to come up with some interview questions for you. I actually came up with a couple on my own, but then I referred to ChatGPT and came up with a bunch. So anyway, but I do want to talk about that tonight too in a second. Yeah, I think you'll like the video, Jay. And I'm really close to 1J AU. Interesting. Let's see, where are we at? We're at 58 minutes and 55 seconds, but according to Joe, I can't count the first 5 minutes of the pre-roll. So in any event, okay. I want to show you one thing. You guys probably are aware of it already. Some of you are in the Unify world. So let me just bring it up on the screen. Okay. So here's a community article, Ubiquity community article, and it's from a guy by the name of Glenn R. And he wrote Unify installation scripts, and he takes the whole process from start to finish, and just by running this one command here, running running this one script command right here. Let's see if I could zoom in on that a little bit. Just by running this one command, which is the script that Glenn wrote, it installs the entire Unified controller from start to finish, all the dependencies, checks that Ubuntu is up to date at all times, and does the netcat install, does the MongoDB install, does the JDK install, that component that I had issues with trying to do it manually. There's also a feature in there that he wrote into the script to do a Let's Encrypt certificate if you want. So I used this script. Now, Willie had sent me this script about a year ago, and he had come across this community article and shared it. Actually, I think he did a video on it at the time too. And so I used this and to create the new controller in the new droplets. And boy, I tell you, it was a blast. It doesn't really take too long. I mean, I know we've been already on for an hour. I was thinking about possibly just walking you through it and just letting it run so you could see what it all does. But I don't know. We'll see. There's only 8 viewers on tonight. So maybe, well, I don't know. Let me know if you want to see it. We'll do it. But it's pretty straightforward. So I'll put a link to Glenn's page in the chat, just in case you guys want to grab if you haven't heard of it, haven't seen it, or haven't heard of it, if you want to grab it. So let me just do a URL shortener, copy. Let me come down and put it in there. Okay, so there's the link to Glenn's community article. And this command right here will run, if you just run this, it'll install the latest version. Oh, I'm not showing it to you though. If you install this one here that I had highlighted originally earlier, it will install the latest unified version. Okay. So we are at 102.25. So we're just about approaching a JAU. I don't know if I have the JAU logo stored, but we'll see. Let me check my ATEM real quick. Ooh, I do. Cool. All right. Let's see what else. Okay. I know I said I just wanted to mention Chat GPT or Chat OpenAI. So let me bring that up for a second. Okay. So obviously AI has been hitting the news, right, as of late. And a lot of lawmakers are calling for a pause on the development because they fear, well, enough. I don't even have to say it. You guys are probably all up on that, but their fear of what like it could do to society if it falls into the wrong hands, right? But using it in a positive note, I've been using it to, like I said, create interview questions. I've been using it to create titles, to create descriptions for my videos, to create searchable keywords and phrases. So if you haven't seen it, chat.openai.com. I can't imagine anyone in this chat hasn't seen it. So that said, let's take a look. I remember a couple of live streams back, David Grishko had said that he asked the Bing AI to create an Nginx config file with RTMP. So let's try that. Create a config file for Nginx and Nginx with RTMP. Okay, and it gives you the disclaimer at the end that you probably have to tweak it, that it's just a general, but let's see if you can, if I can zoom into this a little bit. Hope you can see that a little bit. So here you go. Here's the nginx.config file, RTMP, listening on port 1935, the application, live on, record off. So, it gives it all to you right here, and you just have to tweak it to your likings. It is quite amazing. I remember when David said that like 2 or 3 months ago, I was like, holy crow. But I've been using it to create titles for my videos. So for example, I still got to finish the work for Saturday's video, whereas I got to come up with a title, a description. I didn't do all that stuff that you do on YouTube once the video actually gets uploaded to the tube. So let's go live here and see. Just get rid of that. Let's go live here and see what kind of video description it creates for my upcoming video on Saturday. So create a description for a video on how to migrate a UniFi controller to a new server. Okay, so I usually, when I ask for it, I usually say, give me a 2-paragraph. You see, otherwise it will write you a whole book. But step-by-step guide, how to migrate UniFi controller to a new server. And you can see it just takes you through. Are you looking to migrate your new server, UniFi controller? Yep, to a new server, whether you're upgrading or your hardware, changing hosting providers, or simply, so you get the idea, right? And then it goes on to say, in this video, we'll cover all the essential steps you need to take to migrate your UniFi controller to a new server, from backing up your existing controller, setting up a new server, restoring the UniFi controller data, the whole thing. You'll learn how to export your UniFi controller settings and configurations. Really, it tells you everything. Whether you're a UniFi newbie or an experienced user, this video tutorial is designed. So you get the drift, right? So from here, I would take this and I would just tweak it and make it my own and put it in the video descriptions. Now, watch this. Give me high-ranking, searchable keywords or phrases for a video on how to migrate a UniFi controller to a new server. Okay. Of course, then it gives you the disclaimer to make sure they're relevant to the content of your video. But you can see you got a great base or a great starting point here. So anyway, the site I'm using is chat.openai.com. I'm going to put that in the comments for those of you who have not seen that, but I can't imagine that you have not seen this. Anyway, I just wanted to share that. I thought it was pretty cool. And there you go. Okay. All right. So 105. So we have officially reached the 1 Joe approved unit. Now, I did not think going into this stream tonight that I was going to make the Joe approved unit, but there you go. Okay. There we go. Okay. Had a brain fart there. Couldn't get back. Anyway. So let's go back to the comments for a second and we'll kind of bring this thing to a close. Like I said, I really didn't have a topic tonight, but I didn't. I wanted to go live. It's been since March 23rd. I did the stream with Ashley, and prior to that, I did my solo stream. So I definitely wanted to go live and touch base with everybody and just say hey. Figured whatever comes up comes up. So all right, let's see. I think I said this one before. Jay's looking forward to the video. Yep, Saturday morning it'll be out. Really close to the 1J We hit that. Hey, Allie, welcome to the stream. Glad you could be here. Thank you so much for joining. Here is the URL shortened link to Glenn R's Unify installation script. Yep. TV said, yep, I agree, Jay. It could, in the wrong hands, it could be super scary. And here's the link to the chat.openai that I was using. Thanks, Joe. I appreciate it. Thanks, Allie. The Grand Stream switch. Yeah, Allie, I do have it. It's right here. This is the GWN 7801 in the box. I've had it for a while now. I have the GWN 7660 right here. And I have the GWN 7602 router. I've done videos on the router. I've done videos on the access point. I have not done a video on the switch, the 7801. I have the PoE version, the 7801P. The reason for that is out of courtesy to my good friend Willie Howe, who is technically the Grand Stream trainer, right? I mean, he's Mr. Grand Stream, and I told Willie that I wouldn't do a video on the Switch until he did, and I know he's been doing bits and pieces of things. I said, but I didn't want to. That's it. I mean, that Willie is Mr. Grand Stream, so in all fairness and out of respect for Willie and the fact that I've learned so much from Willie over the years, I wasn't going to even attempt to do a video on that. I felt that he should actually put the first official video, aside from Grandstream doing their videos, I felt that he should do the first official video on the Switch. So in any event, and I don't really know because he's been covering lots of bits and pieces, and he's been going through things with the Switch. I really don't even know that I'm going to cover the features and the, the ins and outs of the Switch and all the options that it has. What I really want to do with those three pieces of equipment that I showed you is do just a home networking setup using a full Grand Stream stack. That's the video I want to do. So your basic primary network and your guest network and your IoT network setup using the full Grand Stream stack, router, switch, access point. So that's my plan. And it's coming, like with a lot of things, it's coming, but that's my kind of reason for not doing any kind of main focus on that Switch. So, and then, so Grand Stream access point with Switch. Yep. And then he said Ali says he did one, so I can do one. So anyway, it's coming, Ali, I promise. Actually, I bought that Switch out of my own funds, so it's definitely coming. There you go. So let's see. Synology WRX 560 gigabit Wi-Fi 6 mesh router. Let me take a look. Let me bring that up. I have not seen that one or had my hands on that one, nor did I request that one from Synology to review. So let's take a look. Okay, networking. WRX 560, that's the one. Okay, WRX 560, designed for modern smart home mesh support. It looks like it comes with one base and 2 satellite units. 2.5 gig WAN LAN, excellent. Mesh Wi-Fi, support for the 5.9 gigahertz band. Oh, I may have to try to get my hands on this, because I just had another situation with a customer this week that bought the Netgear Nighthawk mesh system, and I'll tell you a little story about that. This is my week of stories, I guess, to share. Comprehensive parental controls backed by Synology Router Manager. So I don't know if you saw, I did the video on the RT66AX, the parental controls. The video, I think, was called Keeping Kids Safe Online. That also runs Synology Router Manager. So I'm assuming most of what I covered in that video as far as the parental controls and the safe access would apply with this mesh system. Yep, looks very similar. Okay. Very cool. I like the 2.5 gig LAN WAN port. Excellent. Yeah, I may have to, Ali, I may have to see if I can get my hands on this. And the reason I say that is not just for review for the sake of doing a video, but I had a situation this week with a customer who, like I said, had purchased the Netgear Nighthawk mesh, and all of a sudden her 2.4 devices were no longer connecting, like thermostats and things like that, because a lot of those smart devices require a 2.4 only band. And when you have one SSID broadcasting both bands, 2.4 and 5, if that thermostat, for example, sees that SSID with both bands broadcasting, it will not connect. It needs to see just the 2.4 network only. Even though 2.4 is being broadcast, as long as that 5G band is being broadcast under the same SSID, will not connect. So what I typically do in situations like that, I have a buddy of mine who's an HVAC tech, and we work in a lot of the same customers in common. And a lot of times he'll go into homes and work on HVAC units of clients that I've installed Unify networks on. And one of the things he does is obviously replace their regular thermostat with a smart thermostat. And he'll always end up calling me and saying, hey, do me a favor. I can't get the thermostat to connect. So what I will do is just simply log on to the client's network and disable the 5G. Unify lets you do that very easily. Just go in and uncheck the 5G band, hit apply, it provisions, and now it's broadcasting 2.4 only. He gets the device connected. Once it's connected, you're good to go. Turn the 5G back on and you're golden. Well, I tried to do that with the Netgear Nighthawk mesh, and that's not an option. You can't split the SSID into even separate bands. Like if you wanted to create just a 2.4 band and a 5G band, two separate IDs, just have a, let's say, main Wi-Fi 2.4, main Wi-Fi 5G, you can't do it. It doesn't allow it. I tried to go in just to disable the 5G on this customer's SSID, doesn't allow it. I Googled it. It said it doesn't allow it. from the phone app. So then I went in through the computer interface and I saw the option to uncheck the 5G. I unchecked it. I applied the changes. When the router rebooted, it automatically re-enabled the 5G. I said, wow, that's weird. Long story short, I could not get the customer's thermostats to reconnect. So, no, Jay, the thermostat, I see your chat coming in there. The thermostat does not need a firmware upgrade. The Honeywell thermostats, the older ones like the T6 Pro Wi-Fi and the T5, they are 2.4 only. If you want a Honeywell thermostat that is 2.4 and 5G, you're looking at the T9 and the T10. So T9 Pro and the T10 Pro. So anyway, that said, I actually called Netgear, got support, and the guy confirmed, the technician confirmed with me that it's not an option in the mesh. Now, why am I going through this whole story? Because I'm wondering if the WRX 560 mesh system is the same thing, because the way the network, the Netgear guy made it sound was because it was mesh, you couldn't split it. But I know that's not true because the Unify Amplify HD system, the Ubiquiti Amplify HD system, I was able to go in and disable the 5G until the device was connected and then re-enable it. So I'm wondering now what the deal is with the Synology mesh. Be interesting to see. So I hope I can get my hands on one. I don't know that I'll buy it, but maybe I can get my Synology to get it out to me. So anyway, that was another situation that I had to deal with this week. So, all right, let's go back to the comments. Jay says, any chance of switching to all Grandstream? I have all Grandstream in my house. I have Grandstream in a couple of my clients. It all depends, Jay, because remember, I do mostly residential work. And while I love the Grandstream access points, I try to keep everything in one pane of glass if that's if I can, right? So for management purposes, especially certain clients, I don't manage their sites. They're not part of my controller. They want to manage it themselves. The last thing I want them to do is have multiple places to go to manage, the router, manage their switch, manage their access points, especially if they want the control. Like I have one person in particular that comes to mind, no names to be mentioned, wants control, but really doesn't have the tech skills to warrant having control. So what would that mean for me if I didn't put them on Ubiquiti, right? On Unify, it would mean a nightmare for me of calls and shout outs for requests constantly. So with my target audience, with my target clientele that I service, Unify just makes it easy. Although, like I said, I do have one or two clients out there that do have Grandstream, as well as I have it myself. Do like it. I do like the product. Surprised you actually got through to support at Netgear and they had an answer for you. Not only did they have an answer for me, I did get through, but the woman's warranty period ran out. So technically what they do is in a situation like that is they'll give you one hardware evaluation. And then after they evaluate if the hardware has a problem, they want your credit card to take it to the next level. So what I did was I basically said, hey, I don't need you to do the hardware evaluation. I just have a really simple yes or no question. Just confirm for me, does the Netgear Nighthawk mesh allow the 5G band to be turned off? And he said, no, because it's a mesh system, you cannot disable it. He also said, because it's a mesh system, you cannot create a 2.4 only SSID. So, and he was kind enough to, give me that information without, charging the customer for the support since she was out of the warranty period. Let's see. Hey, Jason, thanks for joining. I don't know when you got here, but we are kind of getting close to wrapping it up. It's been, oh, wow, an hour and almost an hour and 25 minutes. I didn't expect that I was going to even make the JAU tonight. So welcome, my friend. Hope you're doing well. Hey, do me a favor, Jason. Jay asked the question earlier about the map feature that I had earlier on in the stream. So let me just bring that up real quick. And I'll tell you why I'm asking. So the map feature pins locations from where people are tuning in from, right? So Jay had a question. Somebody asked whether or not it covers Canada for like guys like Bob Carpenter and stuff. So do me a favor, Jason, and drop a comment in the chat basically saying where you're from, like hi from, and then we'll see if your pin shows up on the map. And then I think after that, we're going to take it to close. Let's see. .4G router Netgear and have the best 5G router Netgear Nighthawk M6. Well, maybe, but I wasn't impressed with it, with the Netgear Nighthawk mesh system that I was working on this week. So let's see, Jason, if this comment, the way you formatted it, picks up. So let me bring the map back up on the screen. Let me get this comment off. Let's bring the map back on. There we go. Let me go back to the comment page. Okay, and Jason's Lab says, hi, I'm in BC, Canada. Let's see. Did it pin it? Don't see it. Let's see. Jeremy says, hi from Michigan. Yep, I just saw the Michigan Jeremy's pin pop up. Cool. All right. Well, anyway, so we had two that I'm not seeing Jason's pin on the map, but so that's two. We had the Unky Joe from Yemen, and now Jason's from Canada. But we do have Finland and Ukraine on the map, so I'm not sure why. I'm pretty sure it has something to do with the way it's formatted. Like I think the actual API is looking for hi from or greetings from or hello from. I think that's the key. So, but anyway, that's okay, Jeremy. We got your pin on there. Let me see. Hey, Brian Coates, welcome to the stream. And yep, we just saw Brian Coates' pin pop up on the stream. Yeah, Jay, your Ohio pin popped up earlier. I'm pretty sure it did. Did I not put the chat on the screen? Let's see. Let's go back. I'm pretty sure I saw your Ohio pin pop up. Anyway, Ali says, I'm in Australia. I don't know if it's going to find it if you don't format the comment by saying hi from Australia. Let's see. Let me try it. Yeah, see, it's not pinning it that way. But here, I'm going to say my own chat. I'm going to add a comment. Hi from Sydney, Australia. If I can spell Australia correctly. Let's see. Okay, I'll wait for my comment to show up here and then see if the Sydney, Australia comment pops in. Okay, let's see. Here we go. I'm going to pop it on the screen. Let's watch the map. Yep. I don't know if you could see it all the way. Oh, my little icon's in the way. My little, what do they call that bug in the lower right hand corner? But what I'm seeing on my page, um, it did, the Sydney, Australia did pop up. So anyway, enough of that. It was fun. Well, it was something just to try out and test. I'll probably use it in the future, but anyway, let me disable the map. There we go. Anyway, so that said, I think it's time to wrap this up. An hour and a half. We have 12 likes, people popping in and out all night long. I want to thank you guys all for being here. Appreciate you joining me on a Thursday evening. Stick around. In 2 to 3 weeks before the end of April, we'll be coming back on with another interview format live stream. The guest for April will be Jeremy Like from Practical IT. Looking forward to having Jeremy on and talking about his experience in March. I don't know how he did what he did, but kudos to Jeremy. Happy Easter to everyone. Happy Passover to everyone who celebrates, and whatever else is being celebrated this holiday weekend. Again, check out my video on Saturday. It's a detailed video on how to migrate a unified controller. Or not how to, like, it's not the way, it's my way. It's how I approached it, the steps that I took to migrate my production unified controller to from a 5-year-old Ubuntu server to a new version of Ubuntu 22.10 running on DigitalOcean. Dropping on Saturday morning. Please check it out. If you like it, please give it a like, drop a comment. It helps. And on that note, I want to say thank you guys all for being here, and we'll see you at the end of April, date to be determined, with Jeremy Like from Practical IT.